Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
It's another week here for Apex Sim Racing in their Cup Series. And tonight, an extended coverage as we're going to Charlotte. Here, live from North Carolina, live on V-Speed. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper, alongside Lucas Lyons, doing the production here tonight. Week number 2 for him. Did a fantastic job last week. But we're going to see a fantastic race here. We've got it all lined up for you. We're ending the regular season. Almost running out of regular season races, and the playoffs right around the corner. Let's talk a little bit about this schedule right quick before we get into everything else. You've got Nashville, Talladega, the only two left, so not even a mile and a half racetrack. to follow up by a super speedway. Then it's on to short track racing to start that 5-race playoff. It's going to be fantastic. A lot of variety all the way through this schedule. Now a quick look at the points before we go on to our race here at Charlotte. Eddie Smith still holds on by 45 points. Jesse Whittington, 4 weeks in a row here for the 94 machine. He has trimmed down that lead tremendously. Remember back where he was back in 15th, 16th place in points. He's worked his way through for 3 weeks in a row, now up to the top 3. You look all the way down here to AJ Rogers. These drivers going to be locked into that playoff format. I believe they're taking the top 16 for the elimination rounds. So Christian Dedman on the cutoff line here just before we hit playoff time. And we'll have that playoff chart worked out for you for the drivers that are locked in versus the drivers that are not. But pretty much everyone that's won this season is in this top 20. I don't believe there was anybody outside of it that had gotten a victory prior to this. But here we go for week number 8 of the season. It's Charlotte. And a quick look at Charlotte Motor Speedway, opened June 15th, 1960. It's a 1.5-mile racetrack that kind of set the template for the cookie cutters and the 1.5 like Atlanta and Texas Motor Speedway. Carbon copies of this, but different layouts on the banking. And Charlotte has been pretty much the same for ever since its inception. Just slight changes and the amenities. This is hometown turf for a lot of race teams. This place definitely fills the stands, and of course, one of NASCAR's longest races all season long, the Coca-Cola 600. So it's going to be more of an endurance night here tonight as we look at our race analysis a little bit longer. It's going to be closer to 180 laps, so we're going a little further of a distance, 30 for the lap. And that's your stage lap, pit road speed limit at 45 miles per hour. Tire sets available up to 4 now, with 2 green-white checkered attempts and 70% fuel on the iRacing fixed setup. But we're just wrapping up qualifying. We have about 30 seconds to go, getting really close to that time. So we're going to go ahead and bring up the starting grid for tonight's race. It's your American Grit Apparel starting grid here today. On that top spot, it is your points leader here tonight, Eddie Smith, with the Peg Leg Pole Award. So he will have a lap time of 29.691, just over Chris McLean, who was about 0.02 of a second off. So congratulations to Eddie Smith on that Peg Leg Pole Award. Of course, thank you, Chuck Phelps, for that award. I'm sure Eddie's going to get that in the mail. And as we move on to the rest of this field, we're going to have over 20 cars. We're going to have 27 making the grid here tonight. Of course, there's your front row, Chris McLean on the outside. Then row number 2 with Garrett Kinder and Kiernan Church. 22 going to grid a little bit late here. Starting in 5th spot, Aaron Adcock, Chuck Phelps up to the top 10 to start tonight. Dana Shepard and Ray Rogers for row number 4. And rounding out your top 10, it's Tracy Passons in the 53, Michael Nash in the 27. Daniel Pope will start in the 11th position with AJ Rogers in 12th. 13th goes back to Cody Boehm with Brandon Wallace in 14th. Rick Rube and Kyle Roberts starting 15th and 16th. And then Elliott Carlson, Dylan Bates there, side by side, the 09 and the 91. Dylan Bates, I mean, he's getting closer and closer every week to another win. Eric Tracy and Christian Dedman will round out your top 20. Christopher Henner and Anthony Edrington will be 21st and 22nd. Noah Carmen, Josh Oswald electing not to take a time there for the number 1 machine. Then you have Jesse Whittington, who's very late to the grid. Hopefully not a connection issue. We'll see if he's able to make it out here on the racetrack to defend his last week. And Daniel Holcroft, Alan Smith will round out your field. So here we go for 180 laps. Like I said, it's going to be a long distance race. Got a lot of drivers out here hungry for their first win. But 270 miles to dictate who's going to bring it home. And, you know, Eddie Smith winless this season, still leading the points. He would like to get a victory when we go into that playoff format and reset everything. The 94 of Whittington not making the grid here tonight, so an issue with him. Hopefully he can grid in time to start from the pits. I don't see him out on the racetrack just yet. Eddie Smith leads him around. Chris McLean putting up some great practice times. And this is one of the very first racetracks that you receive part of the iRacing service when you first subscribe to it. These cars, of course, that costs a little extra to get the licensing for those, but Charlotte, that's one of the first 1.5 mile ovals. You can think back to the early days of driving all of those street stocks around this place wide open, but tonight it's going to be a lot of throttle control, saving the tires, and live here tonight on V-Speed, Apex Sim, and their Cup Series is live from Charlotte. Coming by to lead lap number 1, it is going to be Eddie Smith. Pulls out 0.3 of a second ahead of Kender. Hassan's just behind that. This is back here in the 7th position. Just ahead of him, Dana Shepard, Aaron Adcock holding and defending that 5th spot. 22 of Kieran Church was side by side. He will be again coming out of 4. And the 5 of McLean loses 2 spots in 2 laps. Trying to hold on here on the high line, running the middle, pinches down on Kieran Church. Church says, I'll have none of it, uses every inch of the racetrack he can. Still not able to clear. It looks like the higher line prevails on the exit. They get really close together again here. Wow, good defense there by Chris McLean. Aaron Adcock still trying to defend against Dana Church, or Shepard rather. The Kieran Church falls back, and looks like the 17 is going to get to the high line and take away 4th position. They're almost 3 wide behind him. Passons with a look to the inside from Michael Nash in the 27. Passons back in 4th. He looked to the outside earlier, now looking to the inside. I think he's running kind of a hybrid line here in between, just trying to keep clean air on the nose of the 53 Haviland machine. He'll go to the left-hand or right-hand side of Dana Shepard again. This top 10 outside of the top 5 is definitely up for grabs. Back and forth a lot here as you go further back. Side-by-side battle between the 88 of Rogers. Cody Bain was looking to the left and thought better of it, backed out of it. 88 looked a little loose there off of 4. And with this tire package, with this model of car, it's very easy to overdrive, overstep, and burn the right front off of this thing. A lot of guys being aggressive early. You're going to find out maybe 10 to 15 laps from now if that was too much. The track temperature, we didn't get a chance to mention. Very calm and cool here tonight. And we'll be racing under the lights before it's all said and done. 74 degrees for the air, 77 on the track right now. You can see that it is helping with the grip. These guys are getting multi-groove racing. That's what we love to see as we go back up front with Aaron Adcock and Tracy Passons. The 11 of Daniel Pope has held on to the top 5. worked his way back from around the 11th position to get up here. 11 car looking fast. Peek to the inside here again by Passons. Holds it down on the bottom. Kieran Church side by side out of the exit of 2. They'll stay side by side again. You got to wonder, for those of you at home, how much are they going to burn off these tires before they realize, hey, maybe we should single file out. I think that was Nash that just got loose in front of Shepard. Shepard had to check up, and he'll end up losing a couple positions over it. It's Kyle Roberts going by on the inside. Chuck Feltz, who started up in the 6th position here. Currently running in 9th, but looking like a top 10 speed for the Save 22 Ford Mustang. Some side-by-side back here with Cody Boehm. 67 of Eric Tracy. This is for the 11th position. Boehm's going to clear that. Now looks behind Daniel Shepard, who's kind of fallen off the pace a little bit here. Now Boehm will go to the outside, try to follow the 35 of Roberts around. Boehm kind of hits a roadblock here for the top 10. So I apologize for the dead air. I just had my son recently broke his VR headset, so he was definitely coming back to remind me that I did not fix it. But after, hours of repair, there's only so much Dad can do. There's only so much these guys can do back here in 14th position. Brandon Wallace, Ray Rogers, AJ Rogers, Daniel Holcroft, all from 15th on back, side by side, scattered everywhere. And we're only 13 laps in. We still haven't settled some of the top 10 drivers. We still haven't settled some of these guys that started in the back, electing not to take qualifying times for some of these guys, such as the 2 of Holcroft, I believe, did not take a qualifying time. He's up 9 positions now. Imagine if the 2 car had figured out a way to get it into qualifying. Now on board with AJ Rogers. He started in 12th. He's on his way back now, down 3 positions. Ray Rogers has fallen 6th, right there in the 51 in front of him. Eddie Smith continues the lead, but that lead has dwindled down. Garrett Kinder slowly reeling in the 87, who's led every lap completed thus far. Eddie Smith 13, now 14 led as he come around for lap 15. That clean air has been kind so far, but Kinder starting to reel him in. Had him down below 2/10 there at one point. And you can see the lights still haven't came on just yet here. It'll be just a matter of time before they flip that switch. And I don't know if anyone can confirm in the chat or not. If it's a full moon tonight, this might get a little wild and crazy. I mean, we've got plenty of racing, plenty of distance. Like I said, 270 miles roughly, and it's shaping up to be a good one. Here's a battle again for the 5th position. Aaron Adcock side by side with the 27 of Michael Nash. Looks like Adcock with the better run out of 4, trying to hold on to that top 5 where he began this race. But it looks like he's going to end up losing that spot. 27, Winn-Dixie machine. Still not able to clear these side by side forever. Almost some contact there entering 3. And as you're watching the driver camera with Aaron Adcock, See if we can take an onboard hood view of what the 17 car is experiencing right now. Car has been consistently to his inside this whole time. So that lead battle is starting to heat back up here with Eddie Smith and Garrett Kinder. Slowly working their way closer. You can see Eddie Smith still holding on to that clean air, and it's probably helping him conserve a little bit. The 13 gets into that dirty air bubble. And once you kind of hit that threshold with that draft, it pulls the air off the nose. It's a little bit more difficult to maintain that downforce, keep that car pinned to the bottom of the racetrack. And the 13 still right pretty much in the tire tracks of the 87, but still saving enough to stick with him. 2/10 back, coming by for lap 21. Eddie Smith still in the lead. Dana Shepard, Eric Tracy, we're side by side here with Ray Rogers. Some more passing going on. This is for 11th. And change for the lead here. Garrett Kinder gets by Eddie Smith going into turn 1. Let's see if he can get his first lap led here. Does Eddie Smith go on offense, or does he allow the 13 at least one lap led here? Smith changes his line. Kinder off of turn 4. Smith a lot faster and all over the back bumper of the 13 across the quad oval, but Kinder will lead. First lead change of the day from Charlotte. You can see the sun just peeking out there over top of turns 1 and 2. It was a pretty much overcast day in the forecast, but we're going to get a little bit of sunshine before those lights turn on. Looking back here with Noah Carmen for the 14th position. Carmen able to clear, gets up one more spot. He's up 9 from where he started this race and still on the move. And you kind of imagine, again, this goes back to some of these guys just always in the wall out of 4. That's going to hurt his run. Composite bodies can hold up to a little bit of that, but it's more of the toe length that you'd be worried about with that safer barrier. So running that high line, it has been working early. It's gained him quite a few spots, but you can see it's starting to get tight. He's had to pass a lot of cars to get up here. He's going to get a big run on the inside of Eric Tracy and looking for 13th here in 3 and 4. Garrett Kinder into the wall here, and he's going to lose a ton of positions. Looks like the right front toe link is busted. He holds it up on the safer barrier to keep from getting into anyone, but he's going to have to burn a fast repair. Let's take it back on a V-Speed Instant Replay and see if we can find what happened to the number 13. He is still struggling to get around this place. That's unfortunate that Kinder is part of this wreckage rewind, but he just chipped the wall there into 1 and then it let loose. It looked like the car got really tight. Might have been a wheel malfunction. Not entirely sure what went wrong there. Go back to our live shot. Eddie Smith now 2.1 seconds ahead. Chris McLean finds second spot in the 13 of Kinder. He's still out there on the racetrack, but he needs a caution soon. He's going to lose a ton of ground. Back in 23rd. And he's lost 9.5, almost 10 seconds to your leader. He was able to get by with 4 laps led before that mistake. Watching a battle here with Ray Rogers, Chuck Phelps in the 51. Also looking at the 22 of Kiernan Church just ahead of that. These guys back and forth. This is still trying to settle the top 5 spots, the top 10 spots. There's kind of a clique that's broken off from the rest of this field. It's second all the way back to 8th. Or 7th, rather. And even the drivers from 8th, 9th, and 10th are starting to work their way towards this battle. And the lights are on now. Caution is out, though. We have lights for that as well. Right at the stage break, the lights come on. And Eddie Smith is going to be your stage winner. And we'll click that ticker top 10 and put it on the left-hand side of your screen with Eddie Smith, Chris McLean. Chris McLean, rather. Michael Nash, Aaron Adcock, Daniel Pope, the top 5. Then you have Tracy Passons, Kiernan Church, Cody Bame, Chuck Phelps, and Ray Rogers. Awarded points for the top 10. It's looking like Eddie Smith's night tonight. Only contender here so far was the 13 of Garrett Kinder, but Kinder needed this yellow. He can come down, use that fast repair, and try to work his way back up to the top spot. Just made it a little more difficult here, though. He's got to gain 23 positions to get back to that situation. Eddie Smith leads him down in. Chris McLean hot on the bumper. You want to be perfect in the stall here. No mistakes can be made. This could be the only caution of the day for stage number 1. Eddie Smith down and away, but spins the tires, and the 5 of Chris McLean is going to win that race off of pit road. And he will be the command car when we go back green for stage number 2. Quick commercial break here on V-Speed. You're watching the Apex Sim Racing Cup Series. More coverage on V-Speed right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back here live from Charlotte Motor Speedway, the Apex Sim Cup Series. Have the 5 of Chris McLean taking over the top spot. Eddie Smith lost the battle off of pit road. That was your stage winner for stage number 1. Aaron Adcock gains a position as well on the pits. Michael Nash, Daniel Pope, the top 5. So we get set to go back green. Only caution of the night was for that stage break, and the lights are on now from Charlotte. Still about 150 laps to go in the longest race of the season. Into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out, and we're back underway at Charlotte. A great restart for the 5 of McLean. McLean's going to lead another one, and he holds on to that top spot. Eddie Smith falls back to 3rd. Aaron Adcock in the 2nd position. On the outside, Michael Nash. I think these guys have learned a little bit that they don't want to let Eddie Smith get in clean air and run away with this thing. They're going to do everything they can to get him as far back as possible. He led every single lap of that stage 1. Well, not every single lap. We had 4 laps led, and we'll check in with Garrett Kinder. He was the other lead change of the night. He's back in 22nd position, but was able to get that damage repaired. As you see a car get loose down there. I believe that's Daniel Holcroft. No, that's Deadman into the wall in the 19 with Dana Shepard in the 44. Caution is out. Across the quad got loose. And 2 cars are totaled here into turn 1. And we saw it there coming out of 4. He got a little bit loose in the first part of the quad oval. Tried to save it, chased it all the way down into the grass. Car snapped back free on him, and up the banking it goes. This is on board with Dana Shepard going into 3 and 4. And Shepard just an innocent bystander here. Nothing he can do about this. Hard hit impact to the outside wall. Both cars pretty much done for the day. They're going to have to tow back to pit road and burn their fast repairs, and probably going to end up a lap down. Christian Deadman actually elects to take it behind the wall tonight. So done for the 19. And Jesse Whittington never was able to make it on the grid here tonight. So it's unfortunate there. He was right on the edge of maybe getting that points lead away from Eddie Smith. I'm not exactly sure. New winner tonight, PC1. So breaking the streak there, the computer decided to give up, whatever the case may have been. Saw you there, Jesse, in the chat. Kevin Kinder, and welcome in Katie to the V-Speed Fast Pass. Thank you very much for helping support our channel. And you know, it goes a long way. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that button. You'll never miss a single race. We have flag-to-flag coverage all season long, all the way through to Homestead here for Apex Sim Cup. Of course, on Mondays, we have our truck series for Racing Revolution, Tuesday nights QSR and BTDY. We also have Spark coming back. Well, actually, you can catch Logan Threlkeld. He'll be over with Spark. They're moving on to another channel, but I'm sure we can get that information to you as soon as it's disclosed. and Racing Revolution in the Cup Series, and of course Saturday Night Racing with the Challenger and Cup Series on at 7:45 p.m. Eastern. But we're doubling back up here. Chris McLean still the command car. Aaron Adcock going to try to take this lead away. Nash on the bottom there for row 2. Eddie Smith, Cody Boehm, Daniel Pope, Tracy Passons, Ray Rogers, Noah Carmen, and Chuck Feltz, the top 10. We've only had to spend 2 times behind this iRacing pace car, one for that stage and the other incident with the 19 of Christian Dedman, the 44 of Dana Shepard. Shepard 3 laps down after having to tow to pit road. He's still down there on pits. Hopefully he can get back on the lead lap. It's probably going to take some cautions to get him back up there. I know a lot of these guys want this thing to go green from here on out. They've worked their strategies and what they thought they could do here on fuel. Of course, limited fuel, that definitely changes things.
Green, green, green.
70% fuel here in these machines. Green flag back underway. Chris McLean on the inside. A great restart here. We're back underway. Side by side, 10 rows deep. Eddie Smith way up the racetrack here out of turn 2, and it looks like he might have picked up a little bit of damage on the nose of that 87 machine. Yes, Eddie Smith does have damage on the front end. Not exactly sure where he picked that up, if it came from a restart, but that might be why the 87 is falling back through this field a little bit. See Ray Rogers getting to the outside. Daniel Pope trying to hold on to the 4th position. You also had Cody Boehm up there, and he's trying to defend 5th spot. And side by side for the lead, Michael Nash looks to the inside of the 5 car. McLean leads that time by, but just barely. Nash continues to hold on to it. A little pinch here and almost some contact off of turn 2. That might open up an opportunity here for Aaron Adcock to get back to the 2nd position. Aaron Adcock going to use the bottom, use all of the racetrack, and he's going to use the wall off of turn 4. Drove it just a little bit too hard. And that was a pretty good hit, but it looks like the damage pretty minimal to the 17. Oh, and contact with the 11 of Daniel Pope puts him in the wall. Adcock moved up the racetrack, got into their left rear quarter panel, and the 11 breaks a front toe link. Battle back up here for the lead. We'll take an instant replay in just a moment of that. Looks like the 5's going to hold on to it. Going to find that 11 car and what happened to him. There's the contact with the wall from Aaron Adcock. And then watch right here into the very next corner. Just a slight little touch on the 11 car. We'll actually go into 3 and 4, I believe, where this goes wrong. Just moved up the racetrack a little bit too high. The 11 did not. And unfortunate here for the 11 of Daniel Pope. No caution came out for that. 46 laps in, Eddie Smith has fallen back to 11th. That damage definitely hindering this machine. He also has a little bit older tires. Dylan Bates, who's working his way into the top 10 for the first time today. 91 car has about 6 lap fresher tires in the cars in front of him. He's looking to get around Noah Carman for the 9th spot here. Adcock back on offense for the 2nd position after that wall hit. I thought maybe he had used it up, but it looks like he still has something left in the tank. He'll move up and try to chase down Chris McLean again. Bates completes a pass here on Chuck Feltz. Put him up to the 9th spot now. And if we'd have a moment to ride on board with Chuck Feltz. Old Pegleg having a solid day. Top 10 runs so far for the 75. Started in 6th position. He's ran in the top 10, I think, pretty much the entire race. And he's holding on pretty well here. AJ Rogers, 0.7 of a second behind him. So fantastic so far. And I know that there's been times several times we've brought this guy into the broadcast booth mid-race, and he's usually quite humble and says, well, I don't know why you're bringing me up here. I'm just here. I don't know what I'm doing, but it seems like tonight he definitely knows what he's doing. He's getting around this place quite well so far. And hope to see Chuck Feltz get a solid finish for a solid day and a solid start. It's quieted down a little bit here in the top 10. Single files out all the way up through this field, and you have to go all the way back to around the 14th position to really see some dramatic racing. The 2 of Holcroft was peeking to the outside of Kieran Church, taking a much higher entry into these corners for the 2 car. He's still not able to make it work just yet. I believe that was the 67s of Eric Tracy that just kicked some dust up off that safer barrier. 2 cautions and 3 lead changes here today. Looks like Dylan Bates was trying some luck here to the inside of Noah Carman just a moment ago. Carman able to hold on to the spot for the time being. You remember we talked about that 6 laps difference on tires. It looks like it's evened out a little bit here for Dylan Bates. He was able to pick up a lot of positions, but now outside looking in, he's starting to struggle a little bit as Carman goes inside. Elliot Carlson for 7th. Doesn't get the run off the corner. And that'll open up the door. Bates still trying to find a way around the 14. And we're getting the accordion effect as Aaron Adcock and Michael Nash go back side by side for the 2nd spot. Everybody in this top 10 starting to work their way back towards Chris McLean. We saw this in the first stage. Eddie Smith started to get contested by a few others. And it's so easy to maybe push it a little too hard, and that clean air definitely chewing the right front off a little bit more than these guys behind him. Car in the wall, that's the 14. Bates moves him up a little bit more to keep him up against that outside wall, and Dylan Bates will be scored in P8 now. Inside of the 09 of Carlson for 7th spot. Car brushing the wall. That was the 17 of Aaron Adcock as they go down the backstretch. Cody Bain looking for 4th spot. Elliot Carlson inside. Bates all over the back bumper of Passons. It's a traffic jam from 5th on back right now. Adcock in the wall again off of 4. Back to 5th. Passons to the outside. We check back in with your stage winner. He's back in 15th position now. Eddie Smith continues to lose spots. That front end damage not helping him at all, and I'm not sure if he picked it up on a restart or if he got into the back of somebody after a caution. I don't know exactly what happened to the 87. I'll try to get that information for you. But it's definitely not the race that Eddie Smith thought he was going to have, especially leading 90% of stage 1. We are starting to approach green flag pit stops, so within the next 10 laps or so, these guys will be coming down pit road. Some of them have about 25 laps on the stint. You'll probably see drivers start pouring in right around lap 69. Looking back here with Bates. He's up to 5th now. He's able to get around Passons and Aaron Adcock to work into the top 5. The 91, oh so close last week as we look 3 wide back here with the 14, 17, and 53. Alpha 4, 14 in the wall. He's still going to hold on to it, though, as the 17 of Aaron Adcock tries to lift and get out of the situation. Across the quad oval. Great racing back here for 7th. And don't look now, Chuck Phelps is going to look for the 9th position. 75 down to the bottom through 3 and 4. He will clear the 17. Put Chuck Phelps up a position, working his way back to where he started. Down 3 still. Biggest gainer right now in the top 10 is Noah Carmen in the 14. Dylan Bates is probably going to end up being the biggest gainer, though. He's still on the move. Hit a little bit of a brick wall, though, here. 14 is going to go to the inside, so they're still competing for who's going to be the biggest mover as they make contact twice here through 3 and 4. The 14 using the right door of his machine to keep it at the bottom. One-third of the way through here tonight. And we're seeing Michael Nash catch back up to Chris McLean. 4 cars have broke away from the rest of this field with McLean, Nash, Boehm, and Rogers. Cody Boehm up 10 positions. These guys on the flip of this strategy, and you would think, especially with Dylan Bates and a couple others that had come down pit road on much fresher rubber, just not able to do the same thing. Dylan Bates actually didn't take any tires, so I stay corrected on that. He only took fuel. So I think some of these guys, a fuel-only top-off for that caution that came right after the stage. And that happened between Christian Dedman and Dana Shepard. Shepard still has not recovered the laps that he lost having to tow to pit road. Currently back in 25th right now. This is back here with the 2 of Daniel Holcroft. He's been close to a couple oh-no moments tonight. Started in 26th, and he's gained that many positions to get to 13th. We're looking around this field. We got the battle for the lead heating up a little bit here. Watching Chuck Phelps there for a second, but look to the inside from Nash. Not this time. The racing continues back here for the 7th through 8th, 9th position. Carmen got into the wall again. The battle still hot. Contact, the 5 sideways. He saves it. And an awesome save here by Chris McLean. But he's not happy about it. We need to go back on our V-Speed Instant Replay and take a look at that. That was wheeling it into the entry of 1 and 2. How did he save that car? And right there, we saw that earlier with Adcock in the 11 machine of Pope, but man, the 5, fantastic job to keep that car. We need to get a gyro cam. Just so much wheel probably went into that machine. And he made it look so minor. That is super difficult to do in these cars. It is so easy to overcorrect them. Carries on, gets the thing stabled back out here in the 4th position. And Michael Nash will take over the top spot. Well, that 5 car, you know, he made the right rear angry. He's going to try his luck to the inside of the 78 here into 3 and 4. Holds it down on the bottom, doesn't quite have the drive off. Cody Boehm going to play defense off the exit. He'll hold on for at least another lap in the 3rd spot. But I think right now the Poman Motorsports driver in the number 5 might be seeing a little bit of red. He really wants to get back to the bumper of that 27 machine. We were talking back there with Chuck Phelps just a moment ago. He was trying to make a pass for the 8th position. And I'm not exactly sure what happened to Chuck Phelps. I am going to go back and see if I can find exactly what went wrong here. He was inside of the 53 of Passons. And I don't think we have a replay of this. It was pretty minor issue. But it seemed like just starting to fall off the pace a little bit here. It's starting to lose a little bit of ground. But again, we are approaching green flag pit stops. So for some, excuse me, for some of these guys, it might be time to alleviate whatever damage they've done to their tires here, racing each other so hard for this top 10. So Noah Carmen in the 14, he has not given up on trying to pass these guys, but every time he tries to get a run, he ends up losing ground, and he's been on kind of the flip side of Dylan Bates. Carmen falls back to 8th, and now they're just about even on the most positions gained to be up here in this top 10. We'll also go back here to Aaron Adcock, who was up in the top 10 a moment ago. He's fallen all the way back to 16th position, running just behind the 3 car of Alan Smith. Change for the lead while we were looking at that. Ray Rogers is going to take it over, gets to the inside of Nash, and the 5 car is back. Here we go. We saw some fireworks just a moment ago. I don't think we've seen the end of them just yet here. Winn-Dixie 27 tries to take the lead back. He's going to end up costing himself a little bit of time. 51 of Rogers into the wall. He'll lead this time around. But the 27 has the momentum after that wall touch. The 5 car just trying to decide who he wants to go with. Is it the 51 or the 27 that's going to prevail for this position? Off of turn 2, still high line here for Rogers. Holds on that time around. 5 takes the high line on the 27. And now going to do a crossover move. He'll have the advantage coming off of 4. P2 back to Chris McLean. And I think he ran a little bit higher into the entry of turn 1. Probably letting the 27 know he wasn't very happy with that last time they were near each other. Nash backs off the bumper here. We're going back deeper into this field. I believe Noah Carmen falling back. Chuck Phelps back up to 11th, but Carmen way off the pace. He's brushed that safer barrier about 26 times here tonight. He's almost worn the right side decals off of that machine. That's how many times, and you could see a battle just in front of him there. That was between Tracy Passons, Boehm. This is all for the 6th position. Side by side continues here with the 78. Passon's going to go by on the low line. 67 of Tracy now going to follow suit. And it looks like Passon's moved up a little bit too soon, brushed the wall. That's been happening a lot here tonight. These guys still putting it on here. Passon's now looking for the top 5. He's inside Elliott Carlson. Nobody has elected to come down pit road just yet. Kyle Roberts, who's a lap down. Some of these guys did do the undercut strategy, but for the 35, he was struggling to be near the top 10. The Whataburger 35 machine now 1 lap down in 24th. We'll take it on board here with Passons as he defends. You've got the 67 in the mirror there. Running the low line, trying to get around, looking up there at the 09. Carlson holds on for 5th spot, but it's been solid here for Passons. Stayed in the top 10 for most of the day as well. Seems like he has a little bit longer run pace than the rest of these guys in front of him. We'll have to wait and see, though, as the 67 will go to the outside, hits the wall. Eric Tracy. A little bit of right front damage. That one was a little harder than last time. The safer barrier starting to get a workout here. th spot back up for grabs. Noah Klarman still hasn't been passed by Chuck Feltz. And it looks like Passon's coming down to pit road. 53 car really backed up the entry here to pit. But 53 onto the pit lane should start our series of pit stops. And I was off by 10 laps here. I said 69. It was 79 that we started it out. Also have another machine leaving the pit road right now. It's Christopher Henner in the 24. He is 1 lap down as well. So who's going to be our next taker down pit road? As you see the battles continue between Cody Bame, and this is all around the 10th position. Chuck Feltz back on offense, has the 2 of Daniel Holcroft to the inside. These drivers getting only around 50 laps on the stint. 88 down pit road, 75 following him in. So AJ Rogers and Chuck Feltz down pit road on lap 81. They will have another pit stop here. I believe this is going to be a 2-stopper from here on. It's going to be close, though. 50 laps, yeah, they're probably going to split this run somewhere around lap 120. And now the 14 of Noah Klarman down pit road as well. See Cody Bame still out there on the racetrack. The 13 of Garrett Kender brings it in. Josh Oswald also down pit road in the number 1. That was Daniel Holcroft that was looking to the inside on the backstretch just before we jump to pit road. He's going to try to complete this pass. This is for the 5th position. And they're going to come down pit road together just as soon as the 2-car found his way around Cody Bame. They bring it into pit. 22 of Kieran Church also in. 3-car Smith. So that'll give the lead over to Dylan Bates, but Eric Tracy is close behind him here. And how far do these 2 drivers want to push this run? We know Bates worked the tire advantage last time. Eric Tracy has had enough of it. He's going to bring it down to pit road. Bates will continue to stay out. 2 cars still on the racetrack. Got Brandon Wallace, Rick Rube, Dylan Bates, actually 3 cars still out there. Anthony Edrington, I think, is on a little bit different stint. So you're starting to see the drivers that topped off of fuel go a little bit further here. And we're looking here at the 51 of Ray Rogers. When this all cycles out, I think actually Chris McLean with that little bit of an undercut on the 51 will be the driver to cycle out to the lead. Ray Rogers falls back a little bit. Eric Tracy just now getting back out on the racetrack, but you're looking here at Chris McLean in the 5 car. He had the lead, got moved out of the way by Nash. And speaking of Michael Nash, down the pit road, he lost about 3 seconds to the drivers that were in that lead pack with him of Ray Rogers and Chris McLean. Daniel Pope benefited pretty well from this stint. He topped off with fuel a little bit ago. And now 41 laps. He could go even further than Dylan Bates and Rick Rube as they are coming down pit road. Bates into his stall. And Rick Rube might just lead a lap. I don't think his pit stall was far enough there. As Chris McLean will come around to retain the lead right on lap 86. With Ray Rogers, Michael Nash going to be your top three. There's the 99 of Brandon Wallace also leaving service. And he's going to end up a lap down here in the 99. All right, well, that'll do it for our first round of green flag pit stops. Still have a couple cars left to come down, but that's Daniel Pope and I believe one other who just finished up service was Rube. So it leaves us with one car left, 42 laps on the stint, and we're getting about 50 laps on the tank here tonight at Charlotte. We're going to take a quick commercial break here on V-Speed. You're watching the Apex Sim Racing Cup Series live on V-Speed. More coverage will continue right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back here live to Apex Sim Racing Cup Series action from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Watching a battle here between Tracy Passons, Eric Tracy, Noah Carmen, and Dylan Bates. These guys going back and forth, 6th through 9th. And on a side note, Eddie Smith found his way back into the top 5, was able to come down pit road and get that damage repaired on the front end of that 87 car. So hopefully that'll bring him back up to par with some of the speed that he had earlier, able to win stage number 1 in that number 87. Just watching some podcast action there with Eddie Smith, Logan Threlkeld. course, the media group On the Hood. You can check out their channel as well. And part of the Goat Talk podcast for Goat Locker Racing. And they do a fantastic job. A lot of interesting topics come up there and definitely have some fun. They also have some weird, awkward pauses, and they call them timeouts. I'm not really sure who started that, but it's about 20 seconds of awkwardness. But it's definitely a good view, and those guys definitely are passionate about what they're doing over there at Goat Locker. And B-Speed was very honored to cover their series, and hopefully the relationships continue with that series. Eddie Smith, Eric Tracy going by on the 87. That was for the 6th spot. And Eddie Smith had pitted about 4 or 5 laps prior to these guys, so you're seeing some of that tire fall off. It's not necessarily the damage. That is all repaired and fine, but you're seeing now just a little bit faster. Eddie Smith trying to conserve some of the tires, I'm sure, not racing these guys too hard, as he is about 4 or 5 laps off on the stent. He had to come all the way back, as you see him weaving in the background back here. A little block there from Cody Bame on the 2 of Daniel Holcroft. Holcroft's going to get to the inside anyway. This is for 10th. Closest pack on the racetrack right now between Passons, Bame, Holcroft, and Rogers. Slowly seeing Kieran Church work his way into the picture as well, back there in the 13th spot. Creeping up on these 4. We've seen this a lot here today, where the top half of the top 10 will work really hard against each other, and then they accordion back together. But that's not the case here after these pit stops. Top 2 have broke away with excellent execution down pit road. Chris McLean taking over a commanding lead. 2, almost 0.3 of a second, and then it's 3.9 back to Michael Nash in the 27 machine. McLean has led 45 laps now as he crosses the stripe. Started on that front row. 5 car looking really good here to get a victory. And I was saying it there at the beginning of this broadcast that there's a chance we were going to see a different winner this season. And by that, I didn't mean necessarily a driver that was winning consecutively or breaking a streak, but more that we have drivers that are winless this season. And Chris McLean is one of those drivers. In fact, he isn't even in the top 20 that I can see in the points here. So he's had some rough weeks, and he's definitely had speed everywhere we've went. The 5 car has ran in the top 10 a lot this season. But for McLean, it's been one bad thing after another, and hopefully this is the race that turns that luck around. It would be a fine time to start winning just before the postseason. Ray Rogers is going to try to take that away from him, though. Ray Rogers, 8th in the points coming in to this race. 85 points out of the lead. Elliot Carlson just ahead of him, so it looks like that point gap of about 6 points between him and Carlson. If Ray Rogers can hold on to this 2nd spot or even get the win, he should make up some ground. Dylan Bates, 6th in points. It's been rough for some of these guys later in the season. Take a quick look at those points that I'm talking about here. Of course, there's your regular season, and we've only got 2 weeks after this in the regular season before we go to Richmond to start off our playoffs. And we're going to reset the top 16. Eddie Smith winless. Jesse Whittington not able to make the grid tonight, having computer issues. Garrett Kinder with a win. Cody Bame, Dylan Bates all with a victory. But it's a limited list of drivers here that have found victory lane for Apex Sim Racing. Cup Series has been very competitive. But it would be good to see Chris McLean finally put it all together here tonight. 103 laps about to be completed. As I said before, it's going to set somewhere around lap 120 to 130 that I would assume these drivers will come down pit road. If they can stretch it all the way, and I assume they can, to lap 130, that probably have to come down around that mark because they'll be close to out of fuel. So we look back here with Nash, Elliot Carlson. looking for the 4th spot. So is staying there with Ray Rogers. Maybe that points advantage not going to be enough tonight. He needs to get up here and lead a lap. Maybe lead the end of this race. Carlson still not able to get around the 27. This is 4.6 seconds back from McLean, with the closest battle on the racetrack right now between 4th and 5th position. Dylan Bates up to 3rd now, chasing these guys down a little bit each lap. Last time by, he was 0.3 faster in the 91. Take a ride on board with the 91 machine, Dylan Bates. He's in between this group, starting to pull away from Nash. He got clear of him a few laps ago. And as I said before, he is about 2 or 3 tenths faster than your leader right now. McLean last time by ran a 30.419. Rogers was even faster than McLean, but Bates was faster than both of them with a 30.3. He's had 4 laps led. He stayed out a little bit longer than these drivers. He's had that top off on fuel that puts him on a little bit different stint than these guys, and you're seeing that tire advantage, but it hasn't translated quite to the lead just yet. He pulled that move there, worked his way up through the field, topping off with fuel, and he's done well enough here to get into the top 3. McLean and Rogers back and forth again here. Car hit the wall coming out of the corner there. It was Anthony Edrington through the grass. He holds on to it. But that happened right in front of the lead 2 cars. Good job holding on to that, Anthony. But tough break here for the Sim Racing 77. So Eric Tracy has now worked his way to this battle. We saw it earlier with the 27 and 09, but they've been back and forth side by side for so long that Tracy, who almost ran over the wall trying to get around him, he closed quickly. And now he's in the mix for this top 5 spot. Carlson has defended well against Nash. Nash almost into the wall there, into the safer barrier, a crossover, a block. The 09 takes him all the way to the apron down the backstretch. Not enough to block him and stop him, though. 27 does get to the inside anyway, into 3 and 4. And I think right now, if you're Eric Tracy, you just let these guys sort it out. He's going to push the issue, though. He's going to push the back of the 09 across the quad oval. Give him some air. We look away from this battle to another battle with Ray Rogers and Chris McLean. Rogers on the inside. This could be our 8th lead change of the night. It will be. 51 off the corner. McLean not going to try the crossover. Doesn't have enough momentum. Ray Rogers back to P1. So we need to jump back here again because Eric Tracy found out a way around Nash, and Eddie Smith's back on offense. Looks like he's saved the tires enough that he's ready to go back to the top 5. So how about that for the 87? We have one more round of green flag pit stops here. 27 dives to the inside. Quick move there. But remember, your stage winner has been on the back burner ever since. He got that front end damage. He's going to take it 3 wide across the quad oval. 27 gets loose, has to back out of the throttle. And Eddie Smith's going to get a 2 for 1 this lap. He'll pass for the top 5. So race recap at the top of your screen. 2 cautions, 8 lead changes. Eddie Smith, stage 1 winner. Almost cleared the 09. He's going to go back to the inside off of 4. And he will have the run. This time across the quad, he does clear and sets his sights on Eric Tracy. But it's still a long ways of 6.5 to that lead pack. And Ray Rogers, 0.4 of a second ahead now as he goes to the inside of the 24. To put him another lap down. That is Christopher Henner in the number 24. Going to lose another lap this time around. Cody Bame just gets around the 14. That was for 8th position. We dance around this top 10. I was talking about Chuck Phelps earlier in this race, Garrett Kinder, some of these guys that were having success earlier on in the night. The 13 car led 4 laps and immediately had problems, hit the wall, had to get damage repaired. So Garrett Kinder started up in 3rd. He's running back in 14th. Just behind him, a driver that started in the top 10 here tonight, started in 6th spot. That's Chuck Phelps. He was in the top 10 for pretty much the entirety of the first half of this race, but after pit stops, just before they came down pit road, had some issues, was losing a little bit of ground, and has since fallen back to 15th. So tough break here. I think some of these drivers really fast on the short run, they need a caution to kind of rack this field back up. It's always surreal or fascinating to me to see how some of these guys operate on pit road, how much time they can make up simply by entering pits a little bit quicker than everyone else. You talk about down the lane. Dylan Bates was a 37.2 second pit stop, but you had Eddie Smith who got down the lane in 36.8. That's how fast he had his approach speed. Ray Rogers a 37.8. I know this is kind of hard to track, but basically the fastest car in and out of pit road was Eddie Smith, and that was a driver that was outside of the top 10 when pit stop started. That's how much time you can make up here just on pit road. So fantastic drive. He's now up to 4th. And for some reason, the paint scheme on Eric Tracy, or I'm not sure who that car is there just behind Eddie Smith. That's the 35 car. Should be a Whataburger machine. I'm not quite sure why that's not loaded in here tonight. Apologize for that. Seems that Trading Paints just sometimes doesn't quite like to load some of these decals, but nonetheless, that is the 35 of Kyle Roberts, who is 2 laps down. Oh. Going back here to the 09 now. So look for the 6th position. Eric Tracy goes by on the inside. Nash, this battle for the top 5 has continued on. It's been amongst these drivers. Eddie Smith was able to clear it and get away, but these 3 guys have still not settled out who's going to be the 5th place car. And we're about 10 laps shy of pit stops to make it to the end of this race. Who's going to be the first one to blink? You know, Eddie Smith, last time by, fastest car in the top 5 by about 0.3 of a second. And he's got some draft help here from the 35. Back here with Cody Bame, Noah Carmen. 8th position up for grabs again. Bame had just completed that pass not too long ago. Carmen back on offense, and I know Michael Nash going to start him off here with the pit strategy. This will be right at 60 laps to go, where the 27's bringing it in. Looking back at the battle again here for Bame and Carmen. Carmen able to clear, put him up to P7. And the battle in front of them with Elliott Carlson. Nash back out of this. These guys had been going back and forth for quite some time. These two stay out. Nobody has joined Nash down pit road just yet. No other takers so far. It might be a little bit too early for some of these guys. As Nash comes back out onto the racetrack, he'll cycle out 1 lap down in 22nd spot. Cody Bame, 78, going to bring it into his pit stall. So the second taker here on lap 122. I got to wonder, it's maybe a little bit too early. I don't know. I felt like 130 would be the right mark, and Bame misses his stall a little bit there. Had to back it up a couple feet to get the service started. Went past that line in his pit box. Here comes the 53 of Passons. And another very conservative pit road entry here for the 53. Passons could probably be in the top 3, but he loses a lot of time down pit road here on the entry. movement for positions here with the drivers that are going to shortcut this run. We're probably going to see a flood of cars on lap 130. I think that's the window of opportunity. It puts these guys kind of evenly split on the stint here. They'll have the equal amount of laps that they currently would have coming into pit road to run this thing out. Now Daniel Holcroft's going to start his pit service. It was somewhere around the 11th or 12th position coming down pit road. Ray Rogers pulls the lead out to 2.1 seconds over Chris McLean. McLean losing a lot of ground here to the 51 in the late run. They're now 44 and 42 laps on this stint. Dylan Bates is going to go a little bit further than these drivers. He's only 39 laps on the stint, so for the 91, I think he's in the best situation. He was faster than them the last time by. He's still running the 30s, and these guys are starting to flirt with the 31 second lap times. Same could be said here with Eddie Smith as he's coming down pit road on lap 126. Chris McLean also in for service in the 5. And problems again here for Garrett Kinder. It looks like he broke another toe link in the 13 car. Done for the day. Noah Carmen in. And some overshot on the box there with Chris McLean. Eddie Smith might have overshot his a little bit. He had come down pit road just behind the 5. Not sure exactly what went wrong for some of these guys down pit road, but they'll come out behind Michael Nash. Dylan Bates and Ray Rogers still out on the racetrack. Ray Rogers going to try to push this as long as he can. Absolutely, why not? I would take it all the way to the end of the fuel tank. He had such a commanding lead, and you'll have a tire advantage on these guys. I think for Ray Rogers, the smart strategy right now is to stay out as long as you can here. Dylan Bates isn't reeling you in by much. He's still 4 seconds back. If you pit too soon, Bates will have the advantage because he will stay out longer than you. I think you got to run Dylan Bates out of fuel here. And black flags here for the 17 of Aaron Adcock. Kieran Church speeding down pit road for the 22 and 17. And they're going to get a 30-second hold penalty here. In the middle of this event, not where you want it to happen, but the 51 of Ray Rogers has to come down pit road this time around. Dana Shepard just behind him there in the 44. But this is too soon, in my opinion, for Ray Rogers to come down and pit. I would have tried to run it out as far as I could because Dylan Bates is going to stay out for an eternity here. I know he's going to make some of that ground back up, but I don't think Bates is going to pit anytime soon. And that'll hand the lead over to him. He's got a little bit of lap traffic here with the 35. That's Roberts there on the bottom. We haven't quite cycled through officially on all of our green flag stops. 50 to go here from Charlotte. Still 4 or 5 cars out on the racetrack. Yet to get some service. 3 car of Alan Smith. He's brought it in. Rick Rube still out there on the racetrack. And Dylan Bates. Your top 3 continue on. Ray Rogers almost, I think he's going to get a black flag here. That was a close one there. Well, take it back on the replay. You can be the judge at home, but we need to get a blimp coverage view of this pit exit. A couple different times he flirted with that line there. If you watch here, this is the one that I'm really concerned with. He put the right front all the way up on the racing surface, so he got really lucky there that he didn't get a black flag for the unsafe exit. iRacing notorious for accidents like that. Just a simple little mistake, and it could just destroy your race as he catches up to the back bumper of Michael Nash. Nash pitted about 12 laps sooner as Dylan Bates is coming down for service. He's actually leaving pit road now.
The yellow flag is out.
So Nash, Rogers, McLean, Smith, and Bame, the top 5. And the caution is out, and that's going to reset everything. Where did this yellow come from? I think it was the 81 of Rick Rube here that might have triggered the caution. I'm not entirely sure. I'm trying. Lost control down here on the pit exit. And the 81 Velocity Motorsports driver, because of where he was on the racing surface, is technically part of the racetrack still. That is the race line. Just clipped the grass there a little bit. Got the left front, dipped his toe in there. Got some front end damage, and this is going to change everything here. I would expect to see everyone pour down pit road, and they do. Dylan Bates stays out, but you got Nash, Smith, and a few others. Pretty much everybody from 4th on back pour down pit road here. This is going to put them on even tires with Dylan Bates, and this is not what he wanted. He needed this race to go green. I think he would have probably ended up being the leader because he had stayed out, had a little bit of a tire advantage, and it shown in the long run he was faster than those guys in front of him. However, he had just come back out on the racetrack, so I don't even think he really got a lap in on those tires. He should be okay, but this will put them all on an even set here on lap 134. Let's take a quick commercial break here on V-Speed. Uninterrupted coverage of Charlotte and the Apex Sim Racing Cup Series right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Double back up here for under 50 to go from Charlotte Motor Speedway, and things just got a whole bunch more interesting. A late caution here in a race that had went green for over 100 laps. Now with 45 to go when they take the green flag, Dylan Bates, who had just come off of pit road, stays out, cycles out to your lead. Everyone on even tires behind him. So everybody burning that last set. I think they took their 4th one, but Bates kept it. We're going to see what happens. Green flag back underway, and the 91 with a big jump here. I think Tracy Passons might have been in the wrong gear. I don't know if he missed the shift. What happened there? But how about Kyle Roberts with the cycle through on the pits? He found his way into the top 5 with the way everything fell out. But he's got some heavy contact, 3 wide, and the 5 of McLean, they're riding the wall. And caution is out. And McLean not happy with that either. It has been one thing after another for the 5 car tonight. On the wreckage rewind, we saw them 3 wide down the backstretch. The 35 up near the wall. They went 3 wide off the exit of 2. And just kind of bouncing off of each other here. A lot of bouncing. I think the 5 got up into the 35 first, and I think the 67 there of Tracy just got turned off somebody's nose in the aftermath. He was checking up for it. See back, there's the 5. He gets a good run here in the middle. Bounces off the 5, the 09, and I don't think he ever actually touched the 09, but definitely got into contact. And yes, there's contact there between Eddie Smith and Tracy. I think Tracy got into the back of Smith, and it sent his car up the racetrack. And that resets everything again here. It's unfortunate. The luck continues here for Chris McLean, and now it runs us closer to the end of this race, and some of these short run drivers that had a lot of success in these 30 lap stints changes the scenario. I believe some of the damage being repaired on some of these drivers coming down a closed pit lane. We had a couple other guys that, of course, the 5 had to come in for that fast repair. If you remember back with Nash, the 5 car almost had that exact scenario earlier in this race, and a pass for the lead. The 27 got into the left rear of the 5 car. He was able to save it and actually raced his way back to the top spot. But then ultimately it was the 51 of Ray Rogers who took it over. And before that caution and how everything had cycled out, I think Dylan Bates was going to end up with the lead in the closing laps. I don't know that Ray Rogers was going to be able to get that lead. Unfortunately, we'll never know now because we've reset everything. This race and the strategy, the way it was playing out, some of these guys had 7 or 8 more laps of fuel that they could go. It's changed and evened out across the board now. Kyle Roberts is going to bring it down pit road to get some of this damage repaired in the 35. You also have Edrington, who I think he's brought it down a couple times trying to get some damage repaired. But 4 cautions, and 2 of which have come within the last 10 laps. $11 lead changes. AJ Rogers to the outside of Dylan Bates as we're double back up. Just over 40 to go. It'll be interesting here for Carlson, Rogers, and some of these guys that haven't really had an opportunity to pass for the lead. They've shown short run speed. They've been fast cars in the top 10, but the opportunity for the top spot never really presented itself. You got to wonder, because of how aggressive they've not been afraid to race side by side a lot here tonight, how this is going to affect drivers like the 51 and the 91 who haven't really had to deal with that too much here. It's most likely going to change the scenario. Hard racing on the high line. This is multi-groove racing at its best from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Here we go again. Green flag is out. Will be another great launch for the 91. It will be. And Rogers going to follow suit. He might get to the inside of AJ Rogers. Side by side for the second spot. 09 just behind that. Falls back a position. Eddie Smith, your stage winner. He's got a fight on his hands with the 2 of Holcroft to the outside. And Nash on the back bumper of the 09. They single file out for this lap. Bates leads another one. Fanning out to the outside, the 51 of Ray Rogers trying to take over the lead from Dylan Bates. Car down on the bottom of the racetrack into the wall. That's the 35. Will stay green. Not entirely sure what's going on there with Roberts, but he lost control down on the bottom of the racetrack. Bates defends the lead, though. Has the 51 still on the back bumper. Nash going by for third spot on A.J. Rogers. Back in fifth here, Eddie Smith inside, trying to pass the 09. Elliot Carlson. Carlson wiggling down the back straightaway. 2 by 2. About 6 rows deep here. All the way back to the 13th, 14th position. Noah Carmen, Chuck Feltz. Feltz back into the top 10. How about that for the 75? Carmen in the wall there off of 4. And he's going to lose a ton of ground. 14 back to 13th position now. Chuck Feltz looking bad fast on this short run. He's going to go inside of the 2. He's going to pass for 7th down the back straightaway. There's Tracy Passons just behind that. He's trying to get clear of the 3 machine of Alan Smith. Smith brushes the wall. Cody Boehm just behind that. Boehm had some success early in this season. Velocity Motorsports has been in and out of the spotlight several times this year, but it was Jesse Whittington that has really put on the show in the last 4 weeks. And now with Dylan Bates up front, looks like he might be a multi-time winner this season. Add his name to the list of drivers that have won more than one race. It's a limited list overall for anybody that's made it to victory lane. Another opportunity presents itself. 78 to the inside of the 3 of Smith. Race number 8 has been a good one. It's been eventful so far. Bates continues to hold that top spot. We're looking back here at the 5th position. And what happened to Eddie Smith? Eddie Smith was in the wall just a few laps ago. If you look there on those session events, Eddie Smith got up into the wall. I think he might have had some help here with the 09. They were running pretty hard door to door here. Eddie Smith actually blinks out there for a moment and then reappears into the outside wall. So connection issue that caused that incident. A tough break there for your points leader. He had a little bit of a cushion, though, to Whittington, so that should help him maintain that points lead. But Dylan Bates, who's 6th in points coming in here tonight, looking for his 2nd victory. And it's all about how many victories you got. How many times did you get a stage win? And Eddie Smith, that might be the one redemption he has going into those playoffs, is he has a lot of stage victories this season. But it's those race wins for some of these other drivers that are also going to add those bonus points. And overall, it's going to be close during that reset for that top spot. We've only got 2 more races left in the season. After this one, Nash back to 3rd. 51 of Ray Rogers starting to lose ground to Dylan Bates in that clean air. 31 to go, crossing the line. They should be able, in fact, I guarantee they're able to make it to the end of this race on fuel. To be right around 55 laps on this stint. You got to wonder who's pushing too hard too early. It's still a pretty long run. This is almost a full run that they had in every stint that they've ran so far. This caution doesn't really shake up too much with how these drivers have to approach getting around tonight. And once those lights came on, things got a little bit more crazy. Watch back there with Passons, got by Chuck Feltz. Cody Boehm inside for the 8th position on Feltz now. Feltz had a lot of short run speed, but now starting to fall out back to the end of the top 10. Looking back here at our weather, the air temperature has come down a little bit. Track temperature about 2 degrees, but the air temperature has come down to 5 degrees from where we started here tonight, or somewhere around that. I think we were somewhere around 76 degrees. I can't quite remember how far back that was when we talked about it in stage 1. The sun was just going down. The air temperature was in the 70s, so not too much of a change here. But you will notice that these guys are migrating a little bit higher up the racetrack, and that's because we've rubbered in a groove on the bottom of the surface. So they're running about half a lane up. Some of these guys are trying the middle hybrid line for the late apex. Car in the wall there. That was Cody Bame kicking the dust up out of 4. Trying to chase down on Tracy Passons, but they're all single filed out here. It has gone pretty quiet for the closing laps of the longest race this season. Eleven lead changes, 4 cautions. Eddie Smith, the stage winner. Dylan Bates still holding on to the lead and looking to get a battle between the 09 of Carlson, the 11 of Daniel Pope back into the top 5. Remember, Pope had a bad break there earlier in this race, was able to claw his way, fights his way back to the top 5. '09 of Carlson, Tracy Passons. These two have went back and forth all night long. And almost cuts the nose off of the 53, who is still able to stay inside and runs that white line, white and blue, all the way to the bottom. Passons has a good exit, and he'll have a good entry into 1 here to try to clear the '09. Slider up to the outside. Going to try to block him down the backstretch and keep the '09 at bay, but a crossover move here for Carlson. He'll go back around to 3 and 4. Passons a little early on the gas here. It's going to get tight out of the corner. He holds on to it. Dirty air from the 88. And almost contact across the quad oval again. Trying to muscle their way into this top 5. AJ Rogers looking in his mirror, not sure who to defend against here. Passon's going to get a big run out of the corner, though, in the 53 machine. Peeks to the inside of the 88. Josh Oswald has found his way into the top 10. First time today, I think we've talked about the 1 and 10th position. Chuck Phelps holding on to 9th, and there's Chris McLean, Daniel Holcroft, and Alan Smith side by side. We watch back on this battle up here with the 53 and the 88. We were just talking about Tracy Passons peeking to the inside of AJ Rogers, now looking for the 5th spot. Passons still hungry for this top 5 finish. He'll hold it down there. Not quite clear there. It's going to get tight. It gets really close off of turn 2, and the 88's able to get back on him. It's going to pinch him down a little bit here in the entry. It actually gives him a lot more room than I thought he was going to. He'll pinch down on the exit, though. Passons is going to have none of it. They're going to make contact across the quad. More contact across the line. Passons holds on. It's not the first time he's had door contact tonight. Won't be the last. He's going to try to fight up there to Daniel Pope. He will clear the 88 this time. Wright slides up in front. There you go for the 53 now. Finally able to get by these guys. Maybe he can pull away. While that was all going on, though, Daniel Pope and Michael Nash, they pulled away at 1.5 seconds from this group. And they've lost ground to Dylan Bates. AJ Rogers still in the tire tracks of your leader. The top 4 in 2 different splits, 2 different time zones. With 20 laps to go when we cross the stripe. Race number 8. 200 miles completed here so far. Coming up on the closing laps. Charlotte Motor Speedway. Watching Bates on the strategy, it was pretty much a telltale that he had speed here tonight, but he's had to work his way from deep in this field, all the way back in 18th spot. So that qualifying not going his way. He did take a time. Of course, you know, when you start that far back, it makes it a little bit more difficult to win these races. But he's showing the long run speed, and that's what's important overall. 35 laps led, about to be 36 as we're under 20 to go. A lot going on deeper in this field still, though. Car in the wall. I think that was the 44 of Shepard. He's in the wall again. Bounces off that safer barrier, loses a little bit of ground. That's Chuck Phelps just in front of him, and they caught up to the back of the 75, who's fallen back to 11th. Phelps was up there firing for 7th spot at one point in this run. 88 of AJ Rogers, who was also in this top 5, is fallen back to 10th position. So you're seeing cars in the wall. That's Chris McLean, who just bounced off the safer barrier. Now has the 1 of Josh Oswald. Thought Oswald was going to get the run. Does not. They continue to work here. Coming up on 15 to go. So much going on. Cody Boehm on the right rear quarter panel of the 09. Carlson has been tough to pass here tonight. Very tough to pass for the 09. He's putting up a fight, and that's going to allow the 5 machine of McLean. Remember, he led some laps to begin the stage number 2, and he had 56 of them led. Right now, I think he's got the most laps led. Dylan Bates, though, probably going to take that over, as there's enough laps left for him to do so. We got 40 laps led there for Dylan Bates. And you go back here with Cody Boehm. It's just a cluster of cars out of turn 4 right now. The 09, the 78, the 5. This is from 6th place all the way back to 13th. Excuse me, 12th. And it's actually Alan Smith. He's a little bit out of the picture. Car on the wall. That's the 78. They're racing a little bit too hard here. And a lot of contact with each other. 75 of Phelps down to the inside. He's going to take over 9th, and now looks on Cody Boehm. A lot of movement there through that portion, 1 and 2. These guys are using everything they've got for the closing laps here from Charlotte. And Phelps back into the top 10 again. Going to drive right up to the back bumper of the 78 car. Still watching here with Cody Boehm and Chuck Phelps. 5 of Chris McLean starting to pull away a little bit away from these guys. And you've got Nash and Daniel Pope, who passed for the 3rd position, took it away from the 27. So the 11 car, a little bit out of range here, I think, to catch up to Ray Rogers. It'll probably take a caution for him to get back to the rear bumper of Dylan Bates. But Bates still has enough time here to lose this lead. Rogers is keeping him in check. It's only a 10th or so. It's not even a 10th that Ray Rogers has been matching here on the lap counter. Watching last time by, almost identical lap times, a 30.7 for both these guys. Had to go down to the hundredths of a second mark to find any difference, and it was Ray Rogers with a 200th advantage this time by. Looks like it's identical again. Rogers just a couple hundredths. He is shaving away a little bit, but will it be enough? Does he have anything left for Dylan Bates? Catching him's one thing, passing's another. Rogers just on board watching here. You can see with the 51 how much he's having to check up. If you can hear the engine RPMs, these guys are really slowing it down in the corners. Listen to him try to bury this car and keep it down on that white line as right around here with 31 laps led. He's definitely got a podium coming his way if we run this thing out green. But boy, would he love to shave those 2/10 away. Bates gets a little bit tight off of the exit of 2. And Rogers gets a good run here. He's working back towards him, but we have a car that might interfere with the exit here for the 91. Unfortunately, lap traffic at probably the worst spot imaginable to meet that car. Watch here through 1 and 2 and see if Rogers can gain anything again. Just barely. We're talking about hundredths of a second a lap. That's not a lot to work with, and you don't have a lot of time left to do it. You're going to have to get a 10th a lap here if you want a shot at this lead. So continue to watch this battle with under 10 laps to go. There is still a little bit happening at the tail end of the top 10. You got Chuck Phelps, Josh Oswald. These guys going side by side again with Dana Shepard kind of mixing it up. The 44 car 4 laps down here. I think Shepard on fresher tires. You see Bame cut the nose off of the 75. He had to back up his exit there. Now the one of Oswald goes to the outside. Rogers lost a little bit of time that last time around. He gets right up to about 2/10 of a second, and then that dirty air seems like it's hurting the 51. But I don't think he's used his move just yet. He could run the outside, get some clean air on that nose, and possibly get the drive off of the corner. I think Bates just now turning on the afterburners. Last time by, Bates a full 10th faster. Trying to gauge one another here. I mean, right now you're just trying to run consistent times. Don't push the car too hard. I think Rogers needs to push. He needs to get up there in the rear mirror of the 91 and put some pressure on him. Make him make a mistake. It's gonna be tough to pass, but if you can get up there and make him make that mistake, it could make it a little bit easier. He just hasn't been able to do that. He's doing everything he can just to stay within those 2/10. That time out of turn 2, he's fast again. He'll shave it back down. You can see on the left-hand side, 0.2 seconds, but off of turn 4, not as fast, and he'll give it all back here. Identical lap times again. I think right now we're just seeing the 91 of Dylan Bates take away that air, take away that line, do whatever he can. He tags the apron a little bit there through 1 and 2. Doesn't matter. It's still enough to keep that car going, maintain the gap, and we'll come up on 3 laps left here for Dylan Bates. Michael Nash got back around Daniel Pope for the top 3. 27 car looking at a podium finish for him tonight. He led some laps as well. Had 7 led, started in 10th. Solid day for Michael Nash. Daniel Pope recovers back to a top 5. 11 car definitely deserved to be up in this position. Just taking you through these top 10 finishers. Tracy Passons looks like he has enough of a gap behind with Chris McLean in 6th position. Tough break there for Chris McLean. He definitely had top 3 speed. Elliot Carlson, who's been tough. He's been a menace here tonight, fighting for 7th spot. He'll hold on to it. Cody Bame way far back here, about 2.5 seconds back with Josh Oswald, Chuck Phelps. Phelps trying to seal the deal for a top 10. 2 laps to go from Charlotte. We're going to come around and get the white flag, and it doesn't look like Ray Rogers has anything left in the tank for Dylan Bates. He can get the lead down to just about 2/10, and then Dylan Bates pushes it in the clean air, pulls back away. White flag one more time around here for Apex Sim Racing Cup Series, race number 8. And it's going to be a pretty good run, I think, overall. He's going to add himself to the list of multi-time winners. Second one of the season. Up in the air, up on the lights. Longest race of the year. Dylan Bates is going to be victorious at Charlotte. And if we go to our static blimp cam, you're going to see nothing but fireworks here tonight. As Dylan Bates, 55 laps led. He was 1 lap shy of getting the most. And I believe that is going to go to Chris McLean with 56. But now on the front stretch, burning it down, the 91 of Dylan Bates. Congratulations to him on this victory, number 2 of the season, coming when it matters most. Just before the postseason, we'll have 2 races left. Post-race interviews with your top 3 and those final race results. Live from Charlotte, right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back here to Charlotte Motor Speedway. It was an eventful one and the longest race of the season. Race number 8 has concluded its 180 laps for 270 miles. Your stage winner tonight, Eddie Smith, but it was action-packed to say the least. Final results up on your screen with 4 cautions and 11 lead changes. Dylan Bates finds his way to victory lane for the second time this season. Ray Rogers and Michael Nash, the top 3. And we'll get a word with those drivers in just a moment's time. Daniel Pope, he brings it back to a top 5 finish. Congratulations to him. He had to fight and claw his way all the way back to 4th spot. Tracy Passon, solid day in the 53. 5th spot, and it's Chris McLean. Tough break for him. Probably feels he should have been in this top 3 to finish things out, but he'll have to settle for 6th. Elliot Carlson, Cody Boehm, Josh Oswald, Chuck Phelps put on one heck of a show at the tail end of this race. 6th back to 10th, fought amongst themselves for about 25 laps. Ultimately, Chuck Phelps is going to find his way back to the top 10 to finish this thing off. It's going to be Alan Smith for 11th position with Daniel Holcroft in the 2. Back to 12th. Brandon Wallace 13th tonight. AJ Rogers, tough break for him. He had a real shot at a top 10. He'll finish 14th. Noah Carmen in and out of the top 10 a couple times tonight. We're looking at these drivers that are one or more laps down, some of them picking up damage. Kieran Church in the 22. He was fast at points here tonight. Rick Rube, a little off the pace. Christopher Henner, after getting pinned a couple laps down, never could recover. Dana Shepard, same boat. Aaron Adcock got some damage. Black flag, speeding on pit road. Just you name it, happened to the 17 here tonight. Eric Tracy, 21st position. Then you got Anthony Edrington. So Eric Tracy's another one there to shout out. He had a top 10 car for certain. But we go back to 22nd spot there with Anthony Edrington. Eddie Smith, a driver that won the stage. He had top 5 speed. I think the 87 probably upset with his connection, whatever the issue may have been there. He blinks out, hits the outside wall. I think maybe a car drove through him, not seeing where he was. Kyle Roberts, tough break, 24th. Garrett Kinder led some laps early in the first stage, got some damage, broke the right front off that machine twice here tonight. 25th spot. Christian Dedman, Jesse Whittington, not able to make the grid here tonight, computer issues. With that, though, it's time to hide those race results and bring up our top 3 into the booth. And the first driver that we're going to talk to is your third place finisher. It's Michael Allen Nash in the number 27. And Michael, I got to say, you fought hard here tonight to stay in that top 3. And even after that strategy turned itself around with that late caution, you somehow were still good enough and fast enough to defend these guys off.
Yeah, it worked out. I did try to short pit, and I was going to try to split that last 60 into 30s, and then, but that caution came at a good time because it hit right after some of those guys had pit, so I didn't get too far off cycle. And anyway, it was fun. I couldn't do anything with Dylan and Ray, but it sure was fun battling the rest of the way back.
Yeah, we saw battles between you, Chris McLean, Daniel Pope, Tracy Passons, Elliot Carlson. It was savagery from probably 5th on back to 12th there for a while.
Yeah, and that probably wasn't always the wisest thing. That side-by-side racing sure is fun, but it cost a ton of time. And then I learned my lesson when who was it at the end? Derek Cope.
Daniel Pope.
Pope got to me. I let him go, and then after a while, I got back around him. If I'd fought him, I think everybody would have caught us. So, but yeah, it was fun, great fun. It's a great track car combination.
Yeah, it looked like multi-groove at its best, and looked like you guys handled it pretty well. I know the safer barriers are going to need worked on here tonight. You guys used them a lot to enter and exit these corners, but. Yeah, a lot of fun to watch, and I'm sure you're pretty happy with this third place finish.
Yeah, I felt bad bumping into Chris early in the race. I just hadn't led a race in a long time, and I had a run. I didn't mean to bump into him, but it didn't wreck us. But I don't like to drive that way. But yeah, it was just a ton of fun.
Well, Michael, I know there's a lot of people. We had some people shouting you out in the chat. We had a lot of people talking about you in this pre-race. Anybody you want to shout out while we have you in the booth?
Well, I'll definitely want to thank all the sponsors of the league, Jimmy at Apex for Sim Racing and American Grid Apparel Company, and of course my buddy Chuck Feltz for the Pole Award, and American Grid Apparel Company, and other buddy Kinder, his family farm and ranch is a great sponsor, and I want to thank my team, which is Poe. I'm really low cash, but that's a sub part of Poe Man who got me started in league racing.
So how does that rank? We got Poe Man, and then we've got, what was the other team name?
Low Cash.
Low Cash. Wow.
Yeah,
just same budget.
So a couple of seasons ago, Aaron decided we had too many people in the chat, and he cut out Low Cash into a separate chat. So
we thank you for your time, and appreciate you coming up here talking to us post race, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
All right. Thanks. Always enjoy the broadcast, Bradley.
Thank you. That was your third place finisher, Michael Nash, in the number 27. As we move on to our second place finisher now, Ray Rogers. And I got to say, Ray, it looked like every time you had something, you were starting to gain some ground. You hit that bubble. It seemed like that dirty air, just you never could quite get to the bumper of the 91. But man, you were fast tonight.
Yeah, I think I did something a little different that last stint. I think I was talking to Dylan there. I ran him a little bit too hard. Got my tires a little hot. Started missing corners, and then I think it was downhill from there.
We go back to earlier in this race, the way everything had cycled out, and I might have been coaching you. I think I was yelling at you at one point during that cycle of pit stops. It ended up not mattering because of the way the caution fell, but I saw you come down pit road there a little earlier than I wanted you to. Do you think you would have cycled back out to the lead and ran away with this thing? Because you had a pretty sizable gap there to the rest of this field.
Well, I had to pick because I actually ran it all the way down with until I only had one lap to go,
Okay.
and so I
Well, you
had
did
to
what I
pit.
thought you should do then. Yeah. You didn't do anything wrong there. Sorry.
No, no, I had to pit it. I wouldn't have made it back around. So I was stretching it as far as I could. I was shutting the engine off, doing everything I can. But no, I had to pit right there. But all in all, good race. Congrats to Dylan. Then it got to a point where every time he missed a corner, I missed a corner. Then it was, like I said, it was just downhill from there.
Back and forth a lot there. And I guess back to the original question, had that caution not come out, do you think that you would have ran away with this race here tonight?
I think so because I had a pretty sizable, like you said, it's pretty sizable lead. I, as long as I didn't make any mistakes, I'm pretty sure I probably could have won it.
Yeah, it was looking like it would have been close. I don't know exactly the numbers there, but you had about 4.5, I think, there coming down pit road. And it's just unfortunate, but that's racing. And I know you guys put on a heck of a show. It was enjoyable to watch. Anybody you want to thank for tonight's performance?
Well, first off, our primary sponsor, Jimmy at Apex Sim Racing. Always, it's a pleasure to have him on board. American Grid Apparel, Chuck Phelps for Pole Awards, and Kinder Farm and Ranch. It's nice to have those sponsors on board with us.
So there you have it, Ray Rogers. He got 31 laps led. He'll come home second in the third to last race of the regular season. Look forward to Nashville next week with you.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good night.
And finally, it's time to move on to Victory Lane here, where Dylan Bates has found it for the second time this season. Dylan Bates, I got to say, it was a heck of a drive to come all the way back from 18th position and lead 55 laps, 1 lap shy of the most led here tonight. But you come home victorious, and I know you needed those playoff points. We're running out of races to do it. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, man. That race definitely didn't start out how I wanted it to, but we made the most of it.
So let's talk about the first stage of racing. You were quiet, running outside the top 10 for most of that, had to fight and claw your way. And then the strategy there with the top off, even though you had a little bit older tires, well, maybe even tires for the rest of this field, you clawed your way up into about the 6th spot. And then that stage came out to kind of reset everybody. Do you think that kind of played into your favor, the way these cautions fell tonight, to put you in a good situation?
Oh, yeah, that definitely helped. It kind of all happened by accident there. Before we even started the race, I was trying to save a little bit of fuel coming to the restart zone, and I was in first gear whenever I popped the clutch to fire the motor back up, and it jerked right, and I hit the wall and gave myself damage. So that whole first run, I was actually just rolling around there trying to maintain. So I went ahead and fixed all the damage I had there, which was almost a minute. Let that fix, and then yeah, like you said, I came back down and topped off just because I was already back there. I thought that was the move since there was nothing to gain or lose, and pretty much everybody from me back followed me anyway. So I don't think I lost any spots there, and yeah, that helped me stay out about 5 to 6 laps later than everybody else throughout those runs. And yeah, fortunately, I just caught that yellow at the perfect time, right when I was coming out of the pits. I was able to inherit the lead there and roll on.
Yeah, it was like storybook perfect there. As you're exiting pit road, you have the lead, you stay out, just set sail into the sunset here in North Carolina. Congratulations again on that second win. Dylan, I know there's a lot of people that support you as well and what you do. So go ahead and shout those people out for the second victory.
Yeah, just all the guys back at Velocity Motorsports. Yeah, fun group to race with. Glad to have Daniel Pope back with us tonight. He ran inside the top 3 there for a while, ended up 4th. Yeah, just a lot of fun.
Dylan Bates, your winner here at Charlotte in the longest race of the season. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
So with that, it's time to move on to the next week, and we've got 2 more left in the regular season. It's on to Nashville at 9 p.m. Eastern Time next Sunday. Nashville Super Speedway, kind of a hybrid that you want to run in between a 1.5 miles and maybe a little bit of short track with these shallow banks. You're going to see some guys move each other out of the way. It's going to be tough to get around one another. This is, I believe, a concrete surface on this racetrack. If it's not concrete, it looks like it. It's bleached asphalt at this point. It's definitely been used. And Nashville's going to wear a groove and chew up these tires April 27th at 9 p.m., week number 9. You can tune in here on V-Speed, hit the subscribe button. You'll never miss a single race, flag-to-flag coverage of Apex and their Cup Series all season long. For everybody that made this possible, Aaron Adcock for having me here on V-Speed, my producer up in the booth here, Lucas Lyons, doing a fantastic job with all the camera work and the angles you saw here tonight. Eddie Smith, Morgan Cook, Logan Threlkeld, our other producers, and ultimately Adam Baker for making this thing look as good as it does. This is Bradley Cooper saying so long from Charlotte. We'll see you next week at Nashville. Till then, stay tracking.